Have you ever woken up feeling like your legs had just run a marathon all night, even though you only ate lightly and went to bed on time the night before? Stiff joints, swollen ankles, heavy knees, and no clear reason why. You're still doing everything right, exercising, eating healthy, and especially having eggs every day to fuel your body with protein and essential nutrients. But ironically, that seemingly healthy meal might be the hidden culprit behind your unexplained leg numbness. And no, the problem isn't the egg itself. The real issue lies in what you eat with the egg. After age 60, the digestive and immune systems become weaker, making the body more prone to inflammation. When you pair eggs with common foods like processed meats, refined starches, or bottled juices, it can quietly trigger chronic inflammation, leading to morning leg pain, stiff joints, and swollen ankles. And if you already have arthritis, diabetes, or sciatica, these wrong food combinations can make your condition even worse. So, what are the 6 foods you should never eat with eggs? And why are they so dangerous? Join me, a doctor specializing in senior health, as we break down each one right now. If you find this content helpful, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss a medical guide designed just for you. Now, let's get started. 1. Processed meats. For many older Americans, bacon, sausage, or ham aren't just food, they're staples of a traditional breakfast. However, the habit of pairing eggs with processed meats can quietly contribute to chronic inflammation in the musculoskeletal system, especially in people over 60. These processed meats contain high levels of sodium, saturated fats, and artificial nitrates. These compounds have been scientifically proven to trigger systemic inflammatory responses, elevating C-reactive protein, CRP levels, a key inflammation marker tracked in chronic conditions like arthritis, atherosclerosis, and gout. In older adults, the immune system weakens and liver and kidney functions gradually decline, slowing the body's ability to process and eliminate these compounds. As a result, inflammation easily builds up in the joints, particularly in the lower body areas like the knees, feet, and ankles, where circulation is already reduced with age. Eggs themselves are a beneficial food for seniors, rich in natural sulfur compounds and purines. However, when digested alongside processed meats, this combination can increase uric acid levels in the blood, a primary risk factor for gout and its symptoms, including joint swelling, redness, and sharp pain in the evening or after meals. Chronic inflammation over time doesn't just cause physical pain, it reduces mobility, increases the risk of falls, and impacts mental health due to the constant presence of discomfort. Expert advice: older adults should minimize the combination of eggs with processed meats, especially if living with arthritis, cardiovascular disease, or gout. Instead, opt for low-inflammatory protein sources like steamed fish, tofu, or boiled chicken. 2. Margarine. For decades, margarine was promoted as a safer alternative to butter, especially for those at risk of heart disease. Many older adults believed that switching from butter to margarine was the right choice. However, recent scientific studies have shown that margarine, particularly those containing trans fats, may do more harm than good, especially when paired with eggs at breakfast. Most traditional margarines are produced through the hydrogenation of vegetable oils, a process that creates trans fats, a type of fat the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, officially banned from food products in 2018 due to its link with systemic inflammation, lipid disorders, and atherosclerosis. In older adults, the body becomes more sensitive to fats, and the ability to metabolize and repair cells diminishes. When margarine is consumed frequently, such as spread on toast or used to fry eggs, these fats not only stiffen blood vessel walls and impair circulation, but also cause oxidative stress, break down collagen in the joints, and worsen inflammation in soft tissues and the musculoskeletal system. Prolonged inflammation can lead to symptoms like dull calf pain, aching knees, numbness in the legs, or unexplained leg cramps, often mistaken for just aging or lack of exercise, when in fact they are directly related to daily fat consumption. Chronic inflammation doesn't just affect the joints and mobility. It's also associated with peripheral nerve dysfunction and a significantly higher risk of falls. Given these risks, older adults are advised to stop using margarines that contain trans fats, especially when combined with eggs, a seemingly harmless dish that can pose hidden dangers if prepared incorrectly. Instead, opt for healthier fat sources such as extra virgin olive oil, organic dairy-based butter, or nut butters like almond or walnut butter. These fats are rich in omega-3s, vitamin E, and natural anti-inflammatory compounds that support cardiovascular health, joint function, and the nervous system. 3. Refined sugar. A spoonful of jam on toast, a squirt of ketchup on eggs, or a glass of orange juice in the morning. These seemingly harmless habits may quietly worsen joint inflammation and nerve damage in older adults. According to the National Institute on Aging, NIA, sugar tolerance declines significantly after age 60. The pancreas becomes less efficient at producing insulin, and insulin sensitivity gradually diminishes, especially in individuals at risk for diabetes or those already diagnosed with prediabetes. When added sugars enter the body, even in small amounts found in jams, jellies, ketchup, or fruit juices, they cause a sharp spike in blood glucose, followed by a surge in insulin. This cascade can trigger both acute and chronic inflammatory responses, particularly in the connective tissues surrounding joints and blood vessels. Moreover, sugar contributes to glycation, a process where sugar molecules bind to proteins in the body, forming advanced glycation end products, AGEs. AGEs stiffen collagen, degrade joint cartilage, and reduce peripheral blood flow, leading to pain, tingling, burning sensations, or numbness in the extremities, symptoms often mistaken as just part of getting older. For individuals living with diabetes, neuropathy, or poor circulation, even small amounts of refined sugar can delay wound healing, lead to slow-healing ulcers, or increase the risk of tissue necrosis. Additionally, prolonged inflammation in connective tissues reduces joint flexibility, makes movement more difficult, and causes imbalance while walking, a major risk factor for falls, which remain a leading cause of lost independence among older adults in the U.S. The message from medical research is clear. Refined sugar, even in modest amounts, not only disrupts metabolism, but also worsens musculoskeletal and nervous system disorders. It's no coincidence that major health organizations such as the American Diabetes Association, ADA, and Mayo Clinic strongly recommend minimizing added sugar intake, especially from processed foods. The solution isn't to eliminate sweetness entirely, but rather to choose natural alternatives that have minimal impact on blood sugar and produce fewer AGEs. Start by replacing jarred fruit jams with a handful of fresh berries like blueberries, strawberries, or raspberries, fruits rich in antioxidants and low on the glycemic index. Instead of sugar-laden commercial ketchup, try making your own no-sugar tomato sauce or use blended vegetable-based spreads. And for juice, opt for whole fruits to retain fiber, or flavor your water with slices of lemon, cucumber, or mint leaves. 4. Processed cheese. For many older adults, a cheesy omelet is the perfect breakfast combo, rich in protein, satisfyingly creamy, and reminiscent of meals from their younger days. However, behind that melted layer of indulgence lies a chain of chronic inflammation risks that often go unnoticed, especially as the body undergoes natural aging. Common breakfast cheeses, such as sliced, melted, or pre-packaged varieties, are high in saturated fats, sodium, food additives, and a dairy protein called casein. Research shows that casein can trigger inflammatory responses in individuals with weakened digestion, a common issue in those over 60 due to decreased digestive enzymes, altered gut microbiota, and reduced bowel motility. When cheese is paired with eggs, a food already high in protein and sulfur, the meal becomes harder to digest, especially when lacking fiber. Slower digestion can lead to bloating, impaired fat and protein metabolism, oxidative stress, and systemic inflammation. In seniors, such inflammatory responses often manifest as calf soreness, swollen knees, stiff ankles, or widespread joint discomfort after meals, particularly in the morning or following periods of rest. Over time, these symptoms can make walking or standing for extended periods difficult, reduce confidence in movement, and hinder daily activities like gardening, walking, or socializing. What's concerning is that many people don't associate this fatigue or joint pain with their breakfast choices. Cheese is still widely considered a source of calcium and protein, but few realize that after 60, the body struggles to process high-fat, high-protein meals, especially when not balanced with greens or fiber-rich fruits. An aging body needs lighter, more digestible, and anti-inflammatory meals, not heavy ones, even in small portions. A simple yet effective solution is to limit highly processed cheeses, especially those high in additives and salt. If you still enjoy the familiar richness of cheese, opt for fresh, low-fat, unsalted varieties in moderate amounts, and always pair them with greens like spinach, broccoli, lettuce, or tomatoes. Increasing fiber in your breakfast not only helps balance fats, but also supports smoother digestion, reduces inflammation, and protects your joints in the long run. 5. Nightshade vegetables. Vegetables are often seen as the cornerstone of a healthy diet. For older Americans, starting the day with a veggie-rich breakfast, such as an omelet with tomatoes, bell peppers, or a fresh salad, seems like an ideal choice. However, not all vegetables are universally beneficial, especially for those managing arthritis, joint stiffness, or peripheral nerve disorders. In fact, some vegetables that are good for some may silently worsen inflammation in others, particularly during the aging process. Tomatoes, potatoes, bell peppers, and eggplants, all staples in the American breakfast, belong to the Solanaceae family, also known as nightshades. These vegetables are colorful, nutrient-dense, and popular for their mild flavor and versatility in omelets, sandwiches, or morning salads. However, they contain a natural compound called solanine, a glycoalkaloid known to irritate soft tissues and promote inflammation, particularly in individuals with sensitive systems or chronic inflammatory conditions. In younger individuals, the liver and kidneys efficiently metabolize and eliminate solanine. But after age 60, as liver and kidney function begins to decline, the body becomes less effective at filtering out such biological toxins. As a result, solanine can gradually accumulate in the connective tissues around joints, areas already vulnerable due to aging. This leads to symptoms such as persistent knee pain, mild ankle swelling, burning sensations in the feet, or morning stiffness, signs often dismissed as just aging, but in reality tied directly to dietary choices. What makes this harder to detect is that symptoms don't appear immediately after a meal. Someone may enjoy scrambled eggs with tomatoes in the morning, yet only feel joint stiffness or leg aches by afternoon or even the next day, making it difficult to connect the discomfort to the food. According to the Arthritis Foundation, up to 20% of individuals with arthritis report worsened symptoms after consuming nightshade vegetables. When combined with high-protein eggs, the inflammatory compounds in these veggies can create a silent inflammation storm in the body, disrupting immune regulation, a serious concern for seniors already prone to inflammation due to aging. If you frequently experience joint pain, muscle stiffness, or tingling despite following a healthy diet, try temporarily removing nightshades from your meals for 2 to 3 weeks. This elimination method is a simple yet effective way to determine if your body is sensitive to these vegetables. If your symptoms improve and mobility increases, consider replacing nightshades with gentler alternatives like spinach, broccoli, asparagus, or pumpkin. Vegetables that are easy on digestion and free of solanine. 6. Refined carbohydrates. Refined carbohydrates like white bread, bagels, or muffins have become a breakfast staple for many older Americans. With their convenience, ease of consumption, and familiarity rooted in routines from working life through retirement, these baked goods often show up daily on the breakfast table. However, once the body crosses the threshold of age 60, significant physiological changes in metabolism, immunity, and digestive function make continued consumption of refined carbs something that must be seriously reconsidered, especially from a geriatric medical perspective. Refined carbohydrates are those that have been stripped of nearly all their natural fiber, vitamins, and minerals during processing. Once ingested, they break down rapidly into glucose, causing sharp blood sugar spikes, also known as glucose spikes. According to medical research, excessive glucose fluctuations trigger a cascade of immune-mediated inflammatory responses. Specifically, the body releases inflammatory mediators such as interleukin-6 and TNF-alpha, which can attack connective tissue, damage joint cartilage, and accelerate degeneration, especially in weight-bearing joints like the knees, ankles, and feet. In older adults, the body's ability to regulate inflammation diminishes with age, while circulation and metabolism slow down. This means post-meal inflammation can last for hours, sometimes all day. When breakfast includes a high load of refined carbohydrates like white bread, alongside eggs, which are high in protein and fat, digestion becomes slower, leading to what's known as metabolic stasis in the intestines. If the gut is not properly cleared, metabolic byproducts and toxins can leak through the intestinal wall into the bloodstream, triggering systemic inflammation that directly affects soft tissues and peripheral joints. Many seniors don't realize that the mild knee pain when standing in the morning, leg fatigue during walks, or ankle swelling in the evening may be directly tied to that healthy breakfast of toast and eggs. Because symptoms don't appear immediately after eating, but build gradually over hours or repeat across days, they are often mistakenly attributed to other causes like overexertion or normal aging. With a growing aging population and rising rates of arthritis and joint degeneration, it's more important than ever to reevaluate seemingly harmless dietary habits. White bread or muffins aren't inherently bad, but if they dominate the breakfast plate and are not balanced with fiber, greens, or anti-inflammatory foods, they can increase the burden on an already fragile musculoskeletal system. A small dietary adjustment, such as swapping white bread for whole grain bread, adding steamed vegetables or avocado instead of a sugary muffin, can significantly help reduce inflammation, maintain joint flexibility, and enhance quality of life. For seniors, each meal is not just fuel, it's medicine that shapes their mobility, strength, and independence in daily living. In later life, every nutritional choice carries long-term significance, not just to fill the stomach, but to protect the joints, nerves, and quality of life day by day. Eggs remain a fantastic food when used properly, but when paired incorrectly, with processed meats, industrial cheese, margarine, or white starches, they can become a critical link in the chain of chronic inflammation and persistent aches. This video now comes to a close. Thank you for taking the time to watch. We look forward to seeing you in the next video, where we continue our journey towards scientific, sustainable, and hopeful healthcare together.